So let's say the Niners do trade Deebo Samuel. What's the proper compensation for him?
Okay, well, first of all, I've always said the starting off point was 35, 38, and 69 because that's what was offered for Tyreek Hill. Knowing that every situation is different, it sounds like the Jets are pretty willing to give up 10. And I think the 49ers shouldn't stop there. I think 10 and 38 is very fair. I think it's fair for both teams because the way that I see it is if the Jets trade 10 and 38, they basically traded Jamal Adams for Elijah Vera Tucker,
Mm.
pretty damn good guard, by the way, and
Just wrote
Deebo
out my high
Samuel.
school. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So Elijah Vera Tucker and Deebo Samuel for Jamal Adams. I think that's a win.
Hell yeah.
So you still, if you're the Jets, by the way,
Considering
you
that
still have pick
Deebo is
4.
way better than Jamal Adams on his own.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. So
Yes.
you still have pick 4. You still have pick 35. You still have a pick, in the third round. They would be fine. They would still have a whole draft and they would take care of the one thing that they've been trying to address all offseason long. They were in on Hill. They were in on the cat from Atlanta. They were in on Cooper from Dallas. They were in on all these guys and they've missed on every single one. I think that they want to get a deal done here. So to me, 10 and 38 is fair for both teams. Let's get it done. That's the deal to me to go for.
To me, 10 is fair. If they can get more, great. Like there's a phrase in on Passover when you do the whole Passover Seder, Jews. There's a whole thing. There's a refrain, Dayenu. God, he did this for us. He took us out of Egypt. Had he just stopped here, that would have been enough. Dayenu. Had the Jets just offered 10, Dayenu. But if they're going to offer 10 and 38, hey, great. That's a blessing. Take it. Yeah. Unless Kyle thinks he has the magic touch and he can just come in and say, Deebo, you're not mad at the 49ers. You like us again. We're good. I mean, I really think he thinks he has that kind of effect on people. I think Kyle thinks he has a tighter relationship with his inner circle than any other coach in the NFL. Not even Belichick. No one is as close as I think he thinks he has a more authentic relationship with his guys than even McVay does. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe Deebo is playing you. We don't know. We'll see. But I think Kyle thinks that.
I don't think that relationship matters unless you're willing to pay him.
Kyle wears
$30 million.
Okay.
We'll see.
But Lil Wayne.
I will say this. I will say this about the trade. Again, going back to the 49ers don't have to do it. If the 49ers aren't getting a 10 and a 38, I think they should walk away from it. And the reason that I say that is because whether Deebo's here for 1 more year, 2 more years, 5 more years, the most important player on that team right now is Trey Lance. And if it means that you got to fight through it for 1 more season to try to figure it out next offseason because 10 isn't enough for you, just to give a weapon to the most important player of your franchise for the future, then you do that. Because the reason that the Jets make this trade is because they also have a young player in his second year that they're trying to figure out if it's going to work with. The 49ers have that same situation. So you cannot let Deebo go unless it's a guaranteed great deal for you. I love 10. I think 10 is a great offer for sure. It's more than what the other players got. But 10 and 38, that's enough to sweeten the pot because now I got 2 chances to try to find something for Deebo. I'm good with that.
It's going to take 2 players to replace him. A running back and a wide receiver. James Hennessy says teams are trying to trade down because the draft is bad. Take those picks with a caveat of why people were so willing to give them up. It's a good point. It's a good point. Like you're trading into the top 10. People are trying to trade out of the top 10. You understand?
A lot of teams are trying to trade back. Not a lot of teams are trying to trade up. But I will say this. Even draft experts say that there's 15 players in the first round that are worth first-round picks. And the draft is actually pretty deep with prospects where the 49ers need players. So that's what does bode well for the 49ers.
Yeah. AJ says Samuel and Garoppolo cannot be distractions for Lance. Correct. So Deebo needs to be signed before training camp, and Garoppolo needs to never, ever, ever step on a practice field ever again. So he needs to just like perpetually rehab. You're not healthy. You stay, keep rehabbing. and then eventually you'll get cut or traded. Something. That's what you got to do. That's what I think.
Yeah, absolutely. If Jimmy gets traded tomorrow by somehow possible, which is not going to happen if he gets traded over the next couple of days, I think everything in 49er land would just be fine no matter what happens with Deebo. That's how you can win, San Francisco.
Yeah, seriously. Salah Safadi says, does Deebo situation fracture Kyle from John? If Deebo situation spirals after draft and Jimmy's still here, that's a terrible situation. I've really given my take already. I think Kyle is sitting back thinking he can save it all. And he's a troll. Everyone thinks we blew it, huh? I haven't even done anything. I haven't even talked to Deebo yet. It's my team. I'm not going to let John blow this. Don't worry. I know that he could. I know that he's capable of blowing it, but I'm not going to let him. So I'll let everyone make their little predictions and say stuff, but then the draft's going to come, and the draft's going to go, and we're not going to trade him. And people are going to be like, well, why? Because it's my team. And Deebo likes me. I'm just that I don't know Kyle that well.
I'll say this, Salah. I'll say this. The fact that I just mentioned Jimmy possibly getting traded, and Grant goes, pfft. But when I say Deebo might get traded, he's like, yeah, I could understand that. The fact that we even are here saying Deebo has a chance to get traded before Jimmy Garoppolo, it's already as bad as it could get. What are we doing here?
I mean, the thing is that there's no market for Jimmy. There's never going to be a market for Jimmy. It's over. The thing with Deebo is there's one hell of a market for Deebo because he's the real deal.
But remember, there used to be one hell of a allegedly one hell of a market for Jimmy.
What do you think the 49ers could have gotten for Jimmy had they traded him after those first 5 starts in 2017? What do you think they could have gotten?
Oh, multiple first rounders.
Multiple firsts, right? At least 2, maybe 3.
Yes. They could have probably gotten a first rounder potentially if they had just brought in after the Super Bowl run.
Got Kirk Cousins. You know why? Because they would never give him a fully guaranteed contract. Ever.
No.